Hello, and welcome to another episode of Book Bites, where we break down the key ideas of some of the most impactful books out there. I'm your host, and today we're diving into The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This book has become a staple for anyone interested in understanding how habits work and how we can leverage them to make meaningful changes in our lives. If you've ever wondered why you can't seem to break a bad habit, or why you struggle to build new ones, or even why companies and organizations design their systems around habits, then this book is for you. In The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg explores the science behind habits, how they form, how they can be changed, and how they shape our lives. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through the core ideas of the book, explain the concept of the habit loop, and give you some actionable strategies you can apply to your life. So, let's jump in. 1. The science of habits, what they are and how they work. Duhigg opens the book by discussing the science behind habits, explaining that they are automatic behaviors that we perform daily without much thought. Habits form through a neurological process in the brain called chunking. The brain takes a behavior and stores it as a habit to make it easier to perform. This is part of why habits are so powerful. Once they're ingrained, they run automatically without us needing to consciously decide to do them. To explain this, Duhigg introduces the concept of the habit loop. The habit loop consists of 3 components. Cue a trigger that initiates the habit. Routine, the behavior or action that we perform. Reward, the positive outcome or benefit we receive from the behavior, which reinforces the habit. The habit loop helps to explain why habits are so hard to break. Once established, the brain craves the reward, and the cue becomes the trigger for the routine. Whether the habit is positive or negative, this loop controls the behavior and reinforces the action. 2. The golden rule of habit. Change. Change the routine. One of the central ideas in The Power of Habit is the golden rule of habit change. Duhigg argues that while it's nearly impossible to eliminate a habit completely, we can change it. The key to breaking a bad habit or forming a new one is to keep the same cue and reward, but change the routine that occurs in between. For example, if you have a bad habit of eating junk food when you're stressed, cue, and the reward is the comfort or relief you get from eating, reward, you could try substituting the junk food with a healthier alternative, routine. The cue and reward remain the same, but the routine has changed, which over time can help rewire your brain and break the old habit. This concept is based on Duhigg's research and stories from real-life examples, including how companies like Procter & Gamble and Starbucks have used the power of habits to change their products and improve customer loyalty. 3. The role of cravings in habit formation. Duhigg also delves deep into the psychology of cravings, which he identifies as a central force behind habit formation. Cravings drive the behavior within the habit loop. For example, when you have a craving for a sugary snack, the craving, your brain signals the need for a comforting food to satisfy that craving. The reward you get is the sense of relief and pleasure from indulging in the snack. One of the key insights from The Power of Habit is that you can't always control the craving, but you can change how you respond to it. Over time, habits become powerful because the brain starts to associate a specific routine, the action, with the craving and the reward. To build new positive habits or to break negative ones, it's important to understand and manipulate the craving in healthy ways. Duhigg talks about how marketing and advertising companies have learned to tap into this craving mechanism. For example, the success of companies like Coca-Cola and Nike is not just about the product they sell, but the powerful emotions and desires they associate with those products, like the craving for refreshment or status. Understanding cravings, Duhigg argues, is key to influencing habits on both a personal and societal level. 4. The power of keystone habits. Another major takeaway from The Power of Habit is the idea of keystone habits. These are habits that have a ripple effect and can lead to the development of other positive habits. For example, regular exercise is a keystone habit because once people begin working out regularly, it often leads them to eat healthier, sleep better, and become more productive at work. Keystone habits are often foundational, meaning that they have the power to influence other areas of your life. Duhigg gives the example of a woman named Lisa Allen, who successfully turned her life around after adopting the habit of running. By focusing on one keystone habit, she was able to improve her finances, her relationships, and her overall health. The key takeaway here is that changing one habit can create a domino effect, helping to bring about broader transformations in other areas of life. This is why focusing on a keystone habit, something small but impactful, can be one of the most effective strategies for long-term change. 5. The influence of habits on organizations. Duhigg doesn't just focus on personal habits, he also explores how organizations, companies, and even entire communities are shaped by habits. He highlights how businesses have used the science of habit formation to influence consumer behavior, improve productivity, and create lasting brand loyalty. For instance, in one chapter, Duhigg explores how Starbucks trains its employees to handle difficult customer situations by forming specific habits that allow them to respond quickly and effectively. By training employees to act in certain ways, Starbucks not only creates a consistent customer experience, but also builds a culture of excellence through habits. The same principle applies to companies like Target, which uses consumer data to develop habits that lead to increased sales. Another example comes from the world of social movements. Duhigg describes how the civil rights movement and other social causes were able to gain momentum, in part because of the habits of individuals within these movements. People started organizing rallies, spreading messages, and supporting one another in a way that became habitual, helping to transform small actions into larger movements. 6. How to build good habits, the strategy. If you're wondering how to actually start using the principles in the power of habit to build good habits in your life, Duhigg offers a number of practical strategies. Identify the cue. The first step to building a new habit is identifying what triggers it. This might be a time of day, an emotional state, or a specific location. Keep track of your habits and identify the cues that trigger your behaviors. Create a routine. Once you've identified the cue, you need to create a routine that responds to that cue. The routine should be simple and achievable so that you can repeat it consistently. Start small. Don't try to change everything all at once. Focus on the reward. The reward is critical because it reinforces the habit loop. Make sure that the reward is something meaningful to you, something that makes you feel good, and reinforces the habit. Make it easy and consistent. The easier you make the habit to perform, the more likely you are to stick with it. This might involve setting up your environment in a way that makes it easier to engage in the desired behavior. Consistency is key. Habits don't form overnight, but with consistent effort, they become automatic. Track progress. Keep track of your habits and celebrate small wins along the way. As Duhigg explains, visualizing your progress, like marking an X on a calendar or using an app, can create a satisfying feeling that strengthens the habit. 7. The habit. Loop at work. Rewiring your brain. One of the most profound insights from the power of habit is the idea that habits can be rewired. The habit loop, cue, routine, reward, is not set in stone. Duhigg explains that neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to rewire itself, means that you can change your habits. It takes practice and perseverance, but with effort, the brain can adapt to new cues and rewards, forming new loops. For example, if you want to develop a new habit, you might start by intentionally focusing on the cue and reward, and then gradually adjust the routine. It might take time, and you might stumble along the way. But the more you practice, the stronger the new habit loop becomes. Eventually, it becomes automatic. 8. The role of willpower. Duhigg also explores the relationship between willpower and habit formation. Willpower is like a muscle. If you use it too much in one area of your life, it can get fatigued. The key to using willpower effectively is to rely on habit formation rather than willpower alone. For example, instead of using willpower to resist unhealthy foods all the time, focus on changing your habits so that making healthy choices becomes automatic. 9. Final thoughts. In conclusion, the power of habit provides a comprehensive and insightful look at how habits shape our lives, both personally and professionally. From understanding the habit loop to applying the golden rule of habit change, Duhigg offers powerful strategies for creating lasting habits and breaking negative ones. Whether you're looking to change your own habits or influence the habits of an organization, this book is a game changer. If there's one thing to take away from today's episode, it's this. Habits are powerful, but they're not set in stone. With the right strategies, we can change our habits and, in doing so, change our lives. That's all for today's episode of Book Bites. If you found this summary of the power of habit helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and share it with anyone who might benefit from these ideas. Thanks for listening, and remember, every habit, whether good or bad, has the power to shape your future.